John grew up in a small, run-down neighborhood where opportunities were limited. His parents worked tirelessly to make ends meet, but they always ensured he had the basics: food, shelter, and education. Yet to John, these were never enough. He was consumed with frustration, always envying the lives of wealthier kids in his school. "Why was I born here?" he would often ask his father, his voice dripping with resentment. "You never gave me anything but a broken house and dirty clothes." His father would simply smile and nod, trying to hide his sorrow, while his mother would silently work to make sure their home was filled with love, even if it wasn't filled with wealth. After high school, John managed to secure a scholarship. Though he felt pride in earning it on his own, he couldn't help but resent the fact that his parents were unable to offer financial support. "I did this on my own," he would often say, "no help from you." His parents, humble and quiet, never once asked him to reconsider his view. They were happy to see him succeed, even if it meant accepting the constant sting of his bitterness. Years passed, and John excelled in his studies. His mind was fixated on a future free from poverty, but at the cost of alienating those who had always been there for him. John eventually landed a high-paying job at a renowned company. He moved into a luxurious apartment and was climbing the corporate ladder. But despite his growing success, his parents remained distant, as they always had been. His father and mother, though proud of his accomplishments, knew that their son had grown to see them as irrelevant. One day, a colleague named Rahul suggested, "John, I want to visit your place and meet your parents. I want to know who made you who you are." John, his face hardening, laughed coldly. "My parents? They're poor-minded. They had nothing to do with this. I earned everything on my own." Rahul posed, confused, but said nothing more. The silence hung heavily in the air. One evening, after a long day at work, John returned home to find his parents in their usual routine. His father was sitting quietly in the living room, and his mother pretended to be asleep in their small room. As always, they were trying to avoid confrontation. "I've got good news," John said harshly. "My office gave me a penthouse. We'll be going there tomorrow. This place is worthless. It's just garbage." His words stung, as his father and mother remained silent, both overwhelmed with hurt. His father, still humble, smiled weakly, though his eyes betrayed a deep sadness. The next morning, John packed his bags, ready to leave. His parents hesitated, but refused to join him, and he left without a second thought. They didn't stop him. He was too busy to notice their absence. Years later, John became a successful businessman, renowned in his industry. He was invited to an interview by Crystal, a young and vibrant journalist known for her thoughtful questions. When asked about his parents' contributions, John dismissed the notion with cold, biting words. "Other kids might have parents who helped them, but not me. I'm self-made." Crystal was taken aback by his response. Her face fell, disappointed by his apparent lack of gratitude. She looked at him, a quiet sadness in her eyes, and said, "If you ever realize the sacrifices parents make for their children, you'll understand why you are who you are today. But for now, it seems you've missed the point." Crystal's words lingered with John, haunting him as he thought about them during the following days. The truth was, Crystal's words sparked something in him, a desire to prove himself worthy of her attention, but not in the way he had imagined. He wanted to approach her, but there was a condition. She refused to consider him unless he brought his parents along. The very idea of bringing his parents into his new life seemed unthinkable, but driven by his growing admiration for Crystal, he finally decided to visit his parents' house. When John arrived at his childhood home, he was struck by how different it looked. The house was covered in dust, and there was a sense of neglect in the air. His mother's cooking, which had always filled the house with warmth, was gone. The table, once filled with hot meals, stood empty. His father was sitting in a corner, looking frail and older than John remembered. When he saw his son, he tried to smile, but then looked down in shame. "Dad," John said softly, unsure of how to act. His father stared at him, confused and overwhelmed. I didn't expect you to come here, son. You've become such a big shot. I thought it was all a dream. How could you?" John was stunned, unable to believe what he was hearing. "No, Papa, it's not a dream. I'm really here." The father wiped a tear from his eye and held him tightly. John felt a pang of guilt in his heart as he realized how much time he had wasted in self-absorbed bitterness. As John walked through the cluttered house, he noticed a box near his father. He opened it, and to his surprise, he found old letters, family photos, and papers detailing his mother's sacrifices. There were notes from his mother to his father explaining how they didn't buy a washing machine to save money for his school fees. The reality hit him like a wave. His mother had sacrificed her health to give him a future, and yet he had never even acknowledged her struggles. His father began to cry softly. "If your mother was here, she would have scolded me for being so emotional. But I'm sorry, John. I couldn't afford her operation. She died because I couldn't save her." John's heart shattered as he realized the true cost of his success. He knelt down and held his father's legs, begging for forgiveness. His entire life was a lie. He had believed that everything he had achieved was solely due to his own effort, forgetting the very people who made it possible. From that moment on, John's life changed. He brought his father to his new penthouse, taking care of him like never before. John's old nameplate was removed, and the names of his parents were carved into the entrance of the house. 1 year later, as he sat with his father at a hotel, laughing and cherishing the time they had left, the same girl, Crystal, called him again for an interview. This time, John was a changed man. As the interview began, he stood up, his voice steady and emotional. "I owe everything I am today to my parents. Their sacrifices shaped me. Without them, I would not be here." He added further, "To every young child, every student, every dreamer watching this today, please listen to me carefully. Never believe that you are self-made. Never say you achieved everything alone. Behind every success story, there are parents who quietly lose their sleep, their comfort, their dreams, and sometimes even their health, just to build your future. Parents don't always give you luxury, but they give you sacrifices. They may not understand your world, your technology, or your ambitions, but they understand pain, hunger, and hard work. They choose those things so you don't have to. I once believed my success was only mine. I was wrong. By the time I realized the truth, I had already lost my mother, the biggest blessing of my life. No success, no money, no title can replace that loss. Respect your parents while they are alive. Speak gently to them. Sit with them. Thank them. Because one day, when the house is silent and the chair is empty, you will realize that the greatest wealth you ever had was sitting right in front of you, and you ignored it. Dream big, work hard, but never forget the hands that lifted you when you couldn't stand on your own. The audience erupted in applause. For the first time, John understood the true meaning of success: gratefulness, love, and sacrifice. Moral of the story: true success is never self-made. It is built upon the sacrifices, love, and support of those who care for us most, especially our parents. Gratitude is the key to recognizing the truth behind our achievements.